Egyptian mummies, ancient artifacts, eternal enigma. Egyptian mummies are well-known artifacts that have fascinated people for centuries. They are preserved human or animal bodies that were carefully embalmed and wrapped in layers of linen bandages. Mummification was a complex and lengthy process carried out by ancient Egyptians as a way to preserve the body for the afterlife. The process of mummification typically involved several steps. Firstly, the internal organs were removed, except for the heart, which was believed to be the seat of intelligence and the soul. The brain was also extracted through the nose using long hooks. The body cavity was then cleansed and filled with aromatic resins and spices to prevent decay. After the organs were removed, the body was treated with natron, a natural salt mixture, to dehydrate the tissues. The body was packed in natron for around 40 days, allowing it to dry out. Once the drying process was complete, the body was carefully washed and sometimes coated with oils or resins to help preserve the skin. Next, the body was wrapped in multiple layers of linen bandages. Small amulets and charms were often placed within the layers of bandages to provide protection and aid the deceased in the afterlife. The bandages were secured with resin, and sometimes a mask or portrait was placed over the face of the mummy. The mummy was then placed in a series of coffins known as sarcophagi, which were often elaborately decorated with hieroglyphs and scenes from Egyptian mythology. These coffins were sometimes nested within one another, with the outermost coffin being the most ornate. Egyptian mummies were usually buried in tombs or burial chambers, often accompanied by various grave goods and offerings. The belief in the afterlife was central to Egyptian culture, and mummification was seen as a way to ensure the preservation of the body so that the deceased could continue their journey in the afterlife. The practice of mummification dates back to around 2600 BC and continued for over 3,000 years until the decline of ancient Egypt. The most famous examples of Egyptian mummies are those of pharaohs, such as Tutankhamun and Ramses I.E., whose tombs were discovered relatively intact by archaeologists in the modern era. Mummies have provided valuable insights into ancient Egyptian society, including their beliefs about death, the afterlife, and the complex rituals associated with burial. The preservation of mummies has been facilitated by the dry climate of Egypt, which has helped to slow down decomposition over the millennia. Today, Egyptian mummies continue to be objects of fascination and study. Many mummies have been carefully unwrapped and examined using modern scientific techniques, shedding light on ancient Egyptian medical practices, diet, and even the presence of diseases in the past. Museums around the world house collections of Egyptian mummies, allowing people to appreciate the rich history and cultural significance of these remarkable artifacts.